the number one thing is to look at the design and analyze the design, because what you're doing, you are going to replicate that on the mannequin or on the paper. That's what we are doing. We are trying to mimic whatever is in the sketch, on the photo, whatever you are copying. So when they teach pattern making in the big school, they ask you to copy the masters. You copy exactly what is already seen, so there's no excuse, no, because you can, no, they did it. It's the picture. You want to do it the same. And that's how you develop the skill. The difference between level 1, flat pattern making, and draping is that in level 1, you're using measurements, and you need to figure out how to translate the 3D body into a 2D platform, you know. So that sometimes is really difficult, and that's what darts, we spend time showing you about darts, because darts are the one that made possible to bring something into 3D status. So also, if you think of the body as a cylinder, it's something that is going to be wrapping around 360 degrees, and that's what you need to think about when you're creating a garment. The garment has a front and the garment has a back. A garment has a neck, a garment has a sleeve for a top. If we are doing the bottom one, the garment has two legs, two cylinders connected in the center, and everything is interrelated. So you need to think about what portion of the body you are working. So today we're going to be looking at this. I want to replicate. I have the pattern for this already, and you're going to have it for the construction class, the pattern for the shirt. But I want you to understand, imagine that you have to do a fast pattern, something, and you don't have a block, but you have a mannequin and a piece of fabric. So let's start to digest this. So I'm gonna start for the torso, that is the foundation of my shirt, this portion here. So what I need for that, I need to look at in the front. I'm going to be overlapping because I need to put, you see this? The center front is where the button is. This is the center front, but it overlaps because I need to have for the buttonhole space and for the button. And you see that it comes like a half an inch from this button. This button is almost like a 1 inch width. So that's another thing. Depending on the size of your button is how much you're gonna be adding to the extension. So if your button is 1 inch, like this one, and you add half an inch, is half of the button, because half of the button is in the center front, and the one is on one side and one is the other side. So if you have a button like this is the center front. The button lies on the center front. So you have the button here. Okay? So half is in one side and half on the other side. So based on the diameter of this button, you're gonna decide how much you're going to be adding, half of the diameter plus the side. For example, the rule for me is whatever the dimension of the button is, I'm gonna add the same to the extension. Okay, whatever the diameter is, I'm going to add the same to the extension. I match extension to diameter. So for example, if this is 1 inch, my extension is gonna be 1 inch. If this diameter is 1 inch, my extension is gonna be 1 inch. If my button is half an inch, my extension is gonna be half an inch. Why? Because you're going to have 1/4 on one side of the center front and 1/4 on the other side of the front, plus 1/4. Generally, for shirt, you do half an inch and under. You can do even to a fourth, mainly for women's. And also, you can use snaps. You know, those snaps that they, like a, I don't know, he doesn't have it, but I have a shirt that have a snaps. 2 of them. Very easy, because you do like a stripper. You go in a second. So anyway, let's go back to see it. So this is what you need to think about it. We are gonna have, it's a shirt, we're gonna have buttons on the front. So what it means, what I'm telling you this is because you have to calculate that before, because you need to add extra fabric on the front to do that. So let's do, I'm gonna do half an inch, because I'm going to do half an inch button. So my button, let me do this here. I'm gonna use a button for the shirt that's going to be, it could be 3/4, it could be, so I'm gonna use a button. That's another kind of button. My button is gonna be diameter equal to half an inch. which means that I'm going to be adding half an inch extension. So I got my fabric, I have my lines here, so I'm gonna do the front first. So number one rule, you need to bring it high enough that it covers all the way to the highest point of the shoulder. Always remember that. You need to have extra fabric. So you cannot start right here on the edge of the fabric, because what happened? If I start here, I'm gonna be short. I will never reach that point. So you need to start with enough fabric to cover that point. So the first thing is defining where's my center front is gonna be and where is the highest point of the shoulder if I have enough fabric. So I decide, like, I have enough fabric, I'm gonna have this, I don't know how wide is the ruler, but it's more than 1 inch. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna define this as my center front. I'm gonna leave fabric so I can operate with that. And also I'm gonna use this line. I'm going to use those 2 lines, and I'm gonna start my right here. I'm gonna turn it around. So what I wanna do, I want to position enough fabric to reach the highest point on the shoulder and enough fabric up over the center front for me to do whatever I want to manipulate right there. That's the first thing. Position your fabric only 1 point, whereas you have fabric enough to wrap everything around. See? You have fabric enough to wrap everything around. So after you have done that, the next thing that we're gonna do, we are gonna start fastening the center front. That the line that we straight here is gonna match the seam in front of the center front. So you put 3 points of 4. So I'm gonna do one on the boss level right here. At the boss level, I'm gonna put a pin right here. Okay? It's hard sometimes, but we can achieve it with patience. So I'll put it there. And what I'm doing this, because I'm going to start moving to the side, as we did before, everything is gonna happen to the side. So I'm gonna secure these 3 points here, and maybe one more for the hip. Okay, so I secure this here. Now that I have this in here, don't worry about this because we're gonna be working with that. I'm gonna bring it to the highest point on the neck, right here, and I'm going to put another pin right there. And then I'm gonna flat the fabric, and I'm gonna put another pin on the tip of the shoulder right here. So what I'm doing, I'm defining the points that I'm going to be moving farther on. So I have a lot of fabric here, so I can come and take a little bit here, and I'm gonna snip. So the fabric allows movement. So we got that. See? I can cut a little bit here, now that I see it. I cut in the center front right here. So there I have, see? Now I have this portion already ready. Everything is falling good. So the shirt, I'm not having the waist dart. That's why you need to look at it. So the shirt is kind of loose because you're having this. There's no point to have dart because you're having that pleat in the back. So it's going to add volume. It's gonna give you comfort. So what we're gonna do, we're gonna accentuate the bust. So we're gonna have the bust dart, but the rest of the shirt is gonna hang loose. But you want to look at this area beautiful. So looking at the design, I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna start doing the dart. But remember here, you see the design is totally flat. So I'm gonna put another pin here where the side seam of the armhole is. I haven't defined my armhole yet. Just put it there. So I wanna see how the fabric behave, and then I'm gonna bring this to the line. I want the line to be totally perpendicular, so I'm gonna bring this. Remember, it's a loose shirt, it's not fitted. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna bring it that the line is totally perpendicular. And then I'm gonna keep, look, then I'm gonna keep this perpendicular here, but loose. I'm not gonna feed it. I wanna put pins right there. Maybe I need to do this a little bit more. Let me do this first. Let me bring this like that. Right there. Everything is falling good. Put a pin right here on the hip. So now I can do my dart here. What the dart does is to create a nice fit. I'm not liking this. Like wrapping the gift, see? I'm not liking this. I'm not liking this. So I can do that.
Sure.
And now I'm gonna put the pins just on the side seam. Right there. It's gonna be loose like that. So I secure one here on the neck where the post is. Put it here. I'm gonna eliminate all that fabric that is bothering me at the moment. See? Let me take all this fabric out because I don't need it. I'm gonna go through here. Here, I think. So now I have immediately the shape that I want. Now I'm going to work the center front. So I'm gonna do, I said that it's gonna be 1/2 inch my extension. So like I know this blue line is the center front that I should mark the center front. Where's my marker? Center front. That. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna fold. I can use the ruler. Use this one. And I'm gonna mark. And I'm gonna mark the 1/2 inch that I have to fold in. You use a measuring tape, but I don't have the measuring tape here. Put it in here. Yeah, it's okay. But you can use measure tape. I can use anything that helps you to measure. We're gonna do 1/2 inch from that point on. So I'm gonna do this 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch. You can use your plastic ruler too, the transparent one. an inch. Half an inch. And there, we're gonna start folding. We're gonna start folding this where the mark is. And the reason what I'm doing in reverse is because I'm gonna show you what is gonna happen. We need to prepare for the other folding when you're sewing, even though we don't have seam allowance, but folding. Folding. So what I did, I fold at half an inch, but now I need to fold that inside. And I need to decide how much. So if I do half an inch here, I need to add another half an inch to the other side. So from that half an inch that we fold, we're gonna do 1 inch difference, and we're gonna mark 1 inch right there, all the way down. You understand what I'm talking about? Or I want to explain. So in here, when you do this, you add this extension, but then you need to create a fold that is gonna come to the other half an inch here on behind. You're gonna create a fold of the fabric to give, number one, to give a strength also for a nice edge finish here. You need to fold it, and then we're gonna fold it to 1 inch. So what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna cut it, and you're gonna see it in a minute. So what I'm gonna do from that point, I'm gonna bring it 1 inch. It's just right there, where this blue line is. And then if I want to have, it's just right here, see? 1 inch, where the blue line is. 1 inch, 1 inch, and 1 inch. So we are in good. This is 1.5 inches actually, that line. Just realize that this is 1.5 inches. So we have that, and then if we want to create a more elegant finish, we're gonna add in here. We can do that with the seam allowance. We're not gonna do that now. We're not doing seam allowance now. So at that point, I can cut that to the line. I can cut this line away. This. Let me liberate it so I can cut it without any accidents. So what I want to do, I mark this and I'm going to cut through this line. I haven't cut the line for the neck yet, so it's a straight cut to the blue line all the way down. So what I have here is my extension, half an inch. Okay, this is my extension, half an inch from the center front. And then I have the extra inch that I'm gonna fold now in. So what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna fold this in here to the inside. Put my pin back. And I'm gonna fold it here. Put the pin back. And I'm gonna fold it all the way. I'm gonna have the pin here. And finally, I can hold this here. Sorry. Be able to put the mannequin up and down. So what we have right now, I have the extension with the fold. I have already, I can put my buttons. What I'm gonna do is define the neckline. So for the neck, defining the neckline, the neckline. I like pencil because I need to work, see, when you're, like you have the extension now, your neckline is gonna start right here. And then you're gonna go through the neck seam right here. And you're gonna do the shoulder. And now I'm gonna define, we're gonna define this, the armhole, using that here. And then we're gonna come like a 1 inch under. So what I have so far is that. Let me trim this a little bit. Let me do this. Okay, so far I have it's symmetrical. So I have one. Now I need to define the side seam. From there, I'm gonna define the side seam. All the way to the hip. And then, if you want to have this shape, generally you go to the height of the hip that is right here, and we come down a little bit like that to here. So you practically start to sketch your shirt on the fabric the way that you want it. So we have already the center front. So this is the center front right here. You have the fold, and then you have your shape of the shirt right here. So if I cut this, it's gonna look like this. And here I can use the fabrics better behavior. So far what I got is the front of the shirt. Now we're ready. We have the dart here that I'm gonna mark it when I took it out. That's what I did the different way. And now what I want to do is the back. So we keep in the front there because the back is a continuation of the front. So I'm gonna cut this a little bit here. Okay. So now I have that, and I'm going to move to the back. So for the back, it's exactly the same process. Define your center back. And for the back, you need to think about how big do you want the pleat. That's the important part. So I have a pleat here that if I do the X-ray on this, it's gonna be like that. So let me do it more exaggerated. So I'm gonna have a pleat that is going to be like this. Like this, and like this. If I do the X-ray, it's gonna happen that. So I need to define how big it's gonna be this before I engage into that. So I'm gonna do 1 inch. So in total, this is 1 inch, this is 1 inch, and total is gonna be 2 inches. You can decide whatever you want. You can decide how you want it. If you want it like that, or you want it, you know, the one that is the opposite, that looks like this. You know, and you have an inverted pleat right here. This is a pleat that you have an inverted pleat right there. So you need to decide if you want it like that or you want it like, I like it like that because it's more elegant. You have the surprise factor there. Also, if you are designing, you can do this piece in a different color fabric. So when it's open, you can see the different color right there. So what I'm gonna do now, I decided it's gonna be 1 inch. So you have to remember that is 1 inch in the back and 1 inch in the top. On the front, sorry. So we are talking about 2 inches. So I need to add 2 inches from the center back to the side. I need to add 2 inches in order to achieve the pleat. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna start, I haven't talked about the job yet because I'm gonna produce everything at once with one fabric. You don't have to do many cuts in here. So what I'm gonna do is, this is my center. I'm gonna find my center back, but I need 2 inches. Remember that I told you that each of this is 1.5 inches. So if I do, and I need to have 2 inches to fold. So I'm gonna do 3 of these. So I have enough fabric. So I'm gonna bring, this is gonna be my center back. The only thing that you need to have is more than 2 inches on the front here to do the fold. So on the center back, sorry. So I'm gonna do this here, and I'm gonna bring it high, because remember, the same way that in the front is going to happen in the back, you need to have enough fabric to come to the highest point. So by doing 1.5 inches above is enough for me. So I'm gonna put this pin right here, the same way that I did. Okay, I'm gonna do this, and I'm going to secure all the center back. I'm gonna put some pins in a strategic position so I can work with that. The same way that I did with the front. Same way, I just defining my center back line. Like I feel that the line stay on top of the seam. And all the way to the hips. Oops. You need to be facing the mannequin. On the side doesn't work. That's why it's more difficult for me. So you need to be facing the mannequin. You need to work comfortable for you, not for me. So I'm gonna do this in here. Check. So you need to face while you're working. So now I secure my center back. I'm gonna mark here. Center back. Center back. Center back. So I have my center back right there. It's that line there. And what I'm gonna do now, I'm gonna move this the same way to the shoulder. I'm gonna share pins here, so I'm going to remove this pin. And I'm gonna bring it into, so I don't have a conflict of interest there with the pins. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna sneak here because you can see that it's giving me a hard time to hold. The moment that I do this, completely change the game. So I'm gonna come over here. So you see, now the fabric is laying good. I got to bring it to the side on the back. Remember when we were doing the back, there is the widest part right here, so I'm gonna put pin just right here on the widest part right here. So what I want to be flat is here, because remember the chair is loose, so I'm going to bring this to the side to match. Keeping everything horizontal like that, not pulling anything. Just keeping like that because it's a loose shirt, so you want to keep the cross grain lines horizontal and the blue lines for the grain vertical. So this is, you want to leave it loose like that. You're gonna bring it to the side and put some pins there. The tension that it's doing here is because I have that pin there, but this is falling straight there. And I'm gonna put another pin here. Now that I have done that, I'm going to move into the center back. So the center back is the one that's gonna have the pleat, and I told you that I'm going to do 1 inch and another inch. So this is 1.5. So what I have to do, I have to measure 1 inch from the center back. Gonna do 1 inch, center back 1 inch. I'm gonna do 2 at the same time. So I'm gonna do 2. I'm gonna do 1 and 2. 1 and 2. All the way to here. Okay, so now I'm gonna do the fold for my, I'm gonna cut the extra material here because this is gonna be on the fold. So I have that. And what I'm gonna do, I'm going to create the pleat now. So I'm gonna lose everything, and I'm gonna fold like this. This is the part that is interesting. So we're gonna keep this flat, and we're gonna fold this on top to come to that edge, like that, on that point. See? I'm gonna bring it here. So this is gonna be right there. I'm not going to carry on folding this. To the center back. Right here. What I'm doing is bringing that edge that I cut to be on the center back. And bring it to be on the center back. Okay, so now the pleat is just right there. You see the pleat? The pleat is just right there. So now I execute this part. Now the next thing that I need to do is the yoke. But before I do that, I'm going to set up my shoulder, neck, and armhole, because if you notice, the yoke isn't the part that is the flattest one on the body. And we do that on purpose so there's no dart or anything involved in there. So let me do pencil. The good thing about modeling or draping is that you can see what is going on immediately with the material that you're working. So, I'm sorry, where is the arm? Right here. So it's just, I'm gonna use the color like so I have here, you need to have good scissors for this, and I'm gonna cut this extra here too. Define my neckline, the shoulder, the center back. I have the pleat already here, and what I'm gonna do is to do the yoke. So the yoke is gonna be on this line, and that's why I position this line in here. So I'm gonna do my yoke going, it's a straight line going here. I'm gonna do it now. Different color. I'm gonna use black so you can see better.
At what point have you chosen the narrowest part of the shoulder?
The widest part of the, like the back. When we were doing the pattern making one, the widest part, because that's the part that doesn't have, look, it's totally flat. You want that portion that is totally flat. So if you look at this, this is the widest part right here. Look, this is the widest part right here. So you want it here. You want the yoke to be here, and then this is your yoke right here. You don't need to have the extra fabric, so what we're gonna do, because we're gonna cut that individually, this is what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna release this. I'm gonna put, I know this is the line, so I'm gonna cut this here. And I'm gonna cut this on the center back, right here. So if you notice what I'm doing, so I'm taking off.
Just taking out the extra fabric from
on
the yoke up to the neck.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you in a minute. So what I did, the yoke pattern, this is fold on the center back. This is gonna be on the fold. This is the yoke. This is the pleat right here that I'm going to have a notch right here, and a notch right here, and a notch on the center front. So you know that's the fold. So this is the piece for the shirt, and this is the piece for the yoke. And when I do the fold here, this is how it's gonna look like. This is how it's gonna look like. See, you're gonna have the pleat. On the other side, the same is symmetrical. And then you're gonna have the front. So right now I have my shirt. You know already how to do the color. Let me put a pin right here. So it looks like it's cool, nice. You shouldn't have problem today with the machines because if you notice the technician is here. If you have any question for the technician, you can ask questions to the technician. He's good. He likes to be feedback and you can ask questions. Don't be shy. The only stupid person is you if you don't ask questions. Nobody looks stupid for asking questions. If you keep something, doubts inside you, you're never going to move forward. So if you have something that you want to know about the machine, you can go ask for advice to the people that know better than you. So we have the pleat, like the design, we have the yoke for the back, and then we have the front with the extension to put the bottom. So generally when you put the bottom, this is the part that I want to tell you. The first button I like to position at the boss position because you know you don't want to have that thing opening here. If you look, this is my chest, this is the first button right here. So you want to put that's the position for the first button. You want to do it on your chest line, on your boss line. So the first button is gonna be right here. Okay? That's my first button. So from there, I'm gonna decide, there's another button here. I'm gonna have another button here on the neck. I haven't done the stand yet, but it's gonna be another button. It's gonna be here that is smaller than this one here. If you look at shirts, this is always smaller than the other one.
that
And
like a
then
quarter
I have a
inch?
distance between this and this that I can put a button in between here if I want. Okay, okay. So I have the distance now for the rest of the buttons is based on this separation right here. So now you're gonna measure this, that is the middle way. The middle way between these two is gonna be the bottom, and then that is going to be the replica for all the other bottom position that if you look at, almost is going into the waist, and then you can have another button right here. So we are talking about 5 buttons on the front, and then you don't do anything from there down. So now we have to complete the shape that we were bringing. See that curve? We need to bring it to the back. So the back is gonna be a little bit longer. Why the shirt in the back is longer than the front? Anybody ask that question?
So it stays.
Why? Because why the shirts is always longer in the back than in the front? Nobody asked that question.
Bend forward.
When you
Sure,
bend
know what it is.
or you see it, you need more fabric. Same that with the elbow, that you need to measure like that because you need more fabric in order to allow. So you make it longer because when you do this, you don't do that. You do this, and then when you do this, what happens with the fabric comes up, and then you show what you don't want to show.
Or do.
Or maybe. So anyway, that's why, the reason why. So what we're gonna do now is to reshape this with the same idea that we had before. So I'm gonna use the pencil first, just in case I don't like it. I can always change it. So I'm gonna start here, and then I'm gonna come all the way to the end, to nothing right there. So I have my curve like that. So now I'm gonna do my lines. I'm gonna start creating my magic here. So what I did, I need to do the side seam too. I want you also to remember that what we are doing here is exactly the same that we do in flat pattern making, because when you take this out of the mannequin, you have a flat pattern. That's exactly. The thing is that you are doing this on top of the person. Imagine that you have the body and you are doing this on top of the person. So that's what is happening here. So I have the shape here, going like that. And I can use a ruler. I haven't cut anything, I'm not going to cut anything more. So I have my dart right here. I'm going to do it, mark it. My dart is just right there. And like that, I finish. The next thing that you have to do is the color that we did last week. You can add it too. I have it there. I'm gonna find it. I'm gonna put it on because I have the same shape. So it completes the shirt. I remember that I add 1/2 inch to the. I'm gonna find it. It's there in my bag. So I'm gonna put it on, And what I want you to talk is about the sleeve right now. Somebody has an arm somewhere.
Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a tip for the sleeve. Time. And the pleat could go like that, but it could be on the opposite way. It could be like this. We can do it like this. Remember, this is the regular pleat, but you can do the inverted pleat. That is going to be like this. You have seen that in some men's wear shirt too.
Yeah.
So the pleat looks like now like that. You have seen both the inside and the side. For women's wear, I like the other one. This is a little bit more like men's wear kind of stuff. This is very masculine to me, but you can use whatever. We can borrow from any gender. So you need to have the imagination that this is going into the other direction, but it's a pleat here, like that. So you have a pleat here.
And then when you cut that piece there, that goes along the center of the back when you're cutting?
Yeah, this is the center and in the, on the fold. You
On the
don't
fold,
fold
that's
that, but
okay,
you need to
yes.
have the extension that you need to
Okay.
create that. So just like that, we have this. So for the shirt, for the sleeve, this is my recommendation for you, so you do not fail. I was in the garage the other day, so what we're gonna do exactly the same. But this is what we're gonna do. We have the length of the sleeve. We decide this is gonna be, let's put it the center of my sleeve, right? This is the center line, center. And I'm gonna leave fabric enough there. So I'm gonna do, for example, if my length is 23 for the arm, let me erase this number here so you don't get confused. You can add, I would say 3 to 4 inches. I'm gonna do 4 to be generous. So I'm gonna have 1 inch down and 3 inches on the top. So this is gonna be, my length is gonna be 27 inches in total, but I'm going to base my sleeve. I'm gonna leave 1 inch here. I always like to work with extra fabric, so I'm gonna have 1 inch here from that. So from there up, I'm gonna measure 23. That is my measurement. So from this edge up, I'm gonna measure 23. This one is gonna be 3 inches. So in total it's 27. So what I'm gonna do, I know that the bicep is 12. So I'm gonna do 6 and 6, and I'm gonna add extra 1 inch. So I'm gonna do 1 inch and 1 inch. So we're talking about 14 inches plus 2 inches, 1 each side. And then I know that the wrist is 8, the bicep. I know the wrist is 8. Okay, so I'm gonna add again 1 inch on both sides plus 2 inches. It's gonna be 10. So I'm gonna do 5 inches and 5 inches, and I'm gonna cut that with the 5 inches like that. From that line down. Okay. Sorry. I show you how to calculate the formula too, and the formula was like the cap is equal. Nothing is wrong. I forgot to do the cap with extra inches. So the cap is gonna be 0.46 times the bicep. So we saw that was 4.5. I think 5.5, right? It was 5.5. You can do 5.5 or 6 inches. So we're gonna eliminate 5.5 from. This is getting complicated because I like numbers. So this is 23 minus 5.5. It's gonna be, it's 23, 17.5. So from here to here is gonna be 17.5, and then you connect that. So you got that. I'm gonna do it in the fabric right now for you to look at. And then I wrap my arm, put the pins, and then go to the mannequin and do the armhole from there. It's easy because it's difficult when you are going underneath here. So you have already a perspective, and you go that way. So let's do it. So this is what I'm gonna do. I keep my fabric, and I'm gonna find one of these vertical lines that I'm gonna define. There is the center one. I fold them in half. Unfortunately, it's bigger, so I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna make this one like my center line. So I'm gonna come higher in here, and I'm going to position that where the point for the shoulder, the tip of the shoulder is, and I'm gonna pin it on my mannequin, or on my sleeve. I'm gonna pin it just on the arm. Just on the arm. I'm gonna put a pin right here on the top, right there, okay? And then I'm gonna keep this line going down straight, because remember, it's not going to be curving with the sleeve, just keep it straight like that. Straight, straight, straight. And I'm gonna put another pin around the elbow position, right here. See, it's straight there. I just keeping the arm, keeping everything by gravity going down. And I got to position another one around the wrist. Okay, then I come here, all the way to the wrist, keeping everything falling down. Okay, now that I have done that, I'm going to remove this from here, because it's better to work. I need a table, maybe over there. So I have that safe, and I'm gonna start working. Keeping the fabric, like I said, the lines like that. And I'm gonna pin here. Just want to have it. You need to have some ease there because it's not a fitted sleeve, it's just a regular sleeve for the shirt. A flat one. I'm gonna put some pins like that, keeping my line, see, everything vertical. Now I'm gonna eliminate some extra from here. Not a lot. See, now I'm gonna do the same. I'm gonna wrap my gift. I'm gonna do the same on the opposite direction. Come to the other side. That's what the lines come handy because you wanna see. What is important is the widest part right here. So you're gonna keep this like that. Okay, now I'm gonna start cleaning carefully. You know, I have the shape of the sleeve here, so I'm gonna add some, I don't need this here. The arm is right here. So I'm gonna start cutting, giving myself extra fabric. I wanna see the shape is gonna be right here. Always remember Christmas. trying to convey. This is the armhole, so I'm gonna leave it like that for now. And I'm gonna eliminate some extra here because I don't need this much. So what I have is sort of the sleeve that we're gonna fix this in a minute because we are trying to keep everything the way parallel. And we need to have a cuff, and this arm is also bent. So I have this now. I'm gonna find out, I'm gonna decide that this, the center from right here, the center of the sleeve is gonna be here. So I'm gonna find it the way right here. And I'm gonna do some from there. I said that I'm gonna do 1 inch, so it's gonna be right here. Now I'm gonna go into snipping mode. It is.
It's 1 inch from where?
Sorry?
What, that 1 inch you just did was what?
The armhole.
From the arm, okay.
From the from the armhole, you have
1 inch down.
Yeah, 1 inch
Okay.
from here. I'm not going to define anything yet, but I'm going to start snipping so I can go around because it's easy for me to work in here. And that's it. Now I'm gonna back into into this is falling already. I don't know. The one that you have is better because it's always at the same height. This one is always moving. This is a falling thing to
I was wrestling with her before. You know,
That's why you're coming to us.
that's right, that's right. I get all my aggression out.
Okay, so I'm trying to make it in the right position so when I do my sleeve it's gonna work. That's another thing that you have in consideration. Your dressing form needs to be perfect for what you're trying to do. Other than that, you're wasting your time. So I'm gonna bring the pins like we did before. I'm gonna bring the pins in there. Trying to cover. Remember, where is the sleeve attached to? The torso. So you need to put the pins on the torso. You need to bring the fabric to the torso. And like I said, you're gonna have extra that when you sew it, it's gonna disappear. Rosa, please, can you give me my pins, please? Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm telling you, you cannot pretend to have this completely flat here. You need to have some ease. So you remember when we did the pattern making one, it works. Do it. And I'm just trying to pull the fabric and make it as flat as possible on the torso, the body of the shirt. fabric to attach around where it is the seam. And you see, I'm going around the armhole. This is not folding because I need to stick here, there, here. Okay. Don't worry about it because you can match one side with the other one whenever you are ready. So, what you need is some point. Okay, so everybody come around and look what happened. I'm trying to connect the fabric around the armhole. And now what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna trace the shape based on the armhole from... Oh, sorry.
I'm sorry. You sent me the pictures. Yeah, sure.
So, yeah. Now, you notice now material right here. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna decide how wide is my cuff, and I'm gonna set that my cuff is 2 inches. So I'm going to make a cuff of 2 inches. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna cut 2 inches away from here because I have a perfect cuff right here. So 1, 2, 3. That's what I like to work with this material. I have plenty. So I'm gonna cut around here. Just right there on top of the line. I'm gonna, despite the seam that is in here, when you're having a sleeve, you have this opening. This one doesn't have it, but you know you have like an opening. Yours has it.
No, no.
Nick, you
Oh,
have
that
it.
one, I think, that one.
Yeah, you see, you have this opening here because you need to get sure it's fitted. So what we're gonna do right now, we're gonna cut a piece here that I said I'm gonna do 2 inches. So I'm gonna cut my cuff of 2 inches. I'm gonna do 3 because already the lines are here. So I'm gonna cut the lines. And I'm gonna show you the grain, still the grain. And I'm gonna start working on my bow. So when you look at the arm, the opening is on the 4th section towards to the back. It's just right here. So where is that line, I'm gonna do a cut right there. Right here. I know how to position myself. I'm gonna do it in this line right here. This one here.
Where the seam.
No, listen, the seam is close. It's between the seam and the side and the middle. See? So I'm gonna do it here. This is the ceiling there.
Sorry. Okay.
Okay. So what I'm gonna do now?
No.
I'm gonna start
No.
my cuff. Let me cut this line here. I want to start my cuff right there, from the back going around. So I'm gonna put a pin right here. Starting right there, my feet. I'm gonna have a plait, so I need to move this like a 1 inch into the line. 1 inch. Because I need to have an overlap to close the bottom. And gonna come around by wrapping my sleeve. And in here, you know that you have a placket.
Yes,
The placket
I
is
got
the
that.
extension of that. So in here, what I'm gonna do, you see this extra, I'm gonna create 1 or 2 pleats. See? I'm gonna create 1 or 2 pleats. I'm gonna create 1 and the 2 here. 1 and 2 pleats. And then I'm gonna create 2 pleats here. And I'm gonna put this coming to here and do separate. 1, put them here. Here. And 2. And then I have the overlap. I'm gonna cut just right there. And here is my cuff. I'm gonna put it the same like that's it. And I'm gonna mark the seam here. Sorry. Here. And there I have my pleat. So let me mark that. I need to follow the armhole. Remember to match the matches. There you go. 1, 2 goes in here. So 2 goes in here. And then we'll see maybe that line right here that I have. Be careful, don't cut the river, please. So here you have, oops, this right here. There you have. So you can see your shirt. You don't see the color. But that's the easy way of doing it. And now you know the extra because it's a sleeve. I put it here in my designs.
Did you mark the sleeve?
So there you have the coffee, the